Yeah, just a lot of work from the end of the season until just about maybe 12 hours ago, to get this class together and work on portal. And obviously, Matt Canada, our recruiting coordinator, did an amazing job of keeping guys on track and making sure we had enough guys on the board to be able to fill the roster up and fill it with good players. And you can read all the rankings. It really doesn't matter, but I know that we did really well in the portal, and we did really good with the high school guys that we got, especially some of the local guys. Obviously, we already talked about the early signees, but some of the later guys we did really good with. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. So excited about working with the guys that are here already, and we've been with them for 2 weeks, and I really feel like we got a very talented and really a lot of good fits for our football team with the portal guys that we have here currently. And then we have 3 high school guys that are early enrollees. So excited about those guys and love watching them work.
Talking about the portal, you've gotten kids from all over the country, and that
Yeah.
really says a lot from UMass, UT, I mean, just several different regions of the country. You went and pulled kids to come right here.
Well, the most important thing we were looking for was guys that either we had a relationship with or had a relationship with guys that they've played for. And, we put a lot of value into that. And a lot of these guys have played for coaches that we know, and we understand exactly what their shortcomings were and what they did really well. So we were able to pull from some different places. And, we did take some guys on potential, but for the most part, the guys that we took in the portal have production, have a lot of college snaps.
Quarterback, you grabbed out of Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about him?
I mean, he's bigger. Yeah, he's much bigger than the quarterbacks that we've taken in the past. He's much more of a pocket passer, a guy that's going to sit in the pocket. 6'5". He's 225 pounds, and he's only going to get bigger. And he's actually had 9 college starts, and have the ability to watch him on college tape was really good. And he played with C.J. Miller in high school at Anna, so we had a good idea of the type of person he was. And I think all those things really helped us. When we were recruiting in the portal, there were a lot of quarterbacks out there, and we wanted to get somebody that we felt would be a great fit here, and he certainly is.
Is it that game experience that you're looking for when you're looking at guys in the portal, or what stands out to you when you're searching?
I think game experience is critical because you can watch as much practice film as you want. You don't know who he's playing against in practice. You don't know, what the situation was. And I think, when you watch game film, you always have a pretty good idea of who they're playing against and what the level of competition is. So, even Traden Henry, an offensive lineman from Concord University, he played 9 games and, had the opportunity to really watch him in college football games, and I think that's always critical when you're looking at a guy that is going to come play for you. Same with all those D linemen, Jaquan Fank and, Kamari Federick and Chris Campbell. Those guys played in a ton of college games. So you had an opportunity to watch them against real college football players, guys that have been training, working in college level. So that was we placed a really high emphasis on that. Brendan Bailey's a guy from UMass who played, 465 snaps last year. I mean, at the Division I level, you could say whatever. Hey, UMass wasn't very good. Yeah, I get it, but that's a lot of snaps, and you see the good and the bad and the ugly on those things. So you make decisions based on what you watch, and feel really good that we did that with this group.
A lot of kids. This is one of the bigger classes we've seen in a while, so you'll have a lot of new faces in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, we had 52 guys, I think, total, when you count preferred walk-ons and all those types of things. So I think that, the job now is to get them to get to know each other and get to trust each other and, go through some things together. I think that's really where we're at, and starts this week with, more hands-on approach with the coaches because they're off the road and, they're spending more time with these guys. So that's really my job, is really get these guys acclimated to our culture and what we're looking for and how we want to operate our program and how we want them to operate in our program. you know, the good news is, we got a pretty good feel for who they are as people throughout this recruiting process. So I think we brought in really good people. Now it's just a matter of making sure they can acclimate to the culture.
You talk about snaps at the college level, and you think that, it's a good experience, but does it matter to you and your staff what level of the snaps they get, whether it's JUCO, D3, D1, or is it just game reps no matter what?
I think NCAA football is important to us. JUCO's good. I think you got to know who they're playing against again, and you got to watch game tape. I think we got a couple junior college guys on here, and I think all those guys. Bryce McDonald was he was a little bit more because he played at Prairie View, so we had some NCAA tape as well as Cisco. So I think those things all work out. We get to see him on tape run around, but sometimes JUCO, you watch that tape and it could be a little bit of fool's gold. So you got to be really careful, and you got to know the coaches at the JUCOs and have a good connection. And we got, Jacob Diaz on staff who has a lot of connections out. So, Malachi Casey, the wide out, like we knew a lot about him. We knew his coaches. They could tell us the pluses and the minuses. And now that we watched him for 2 weeks, you could see all those things were true. So I feel good about that. I love the receiver group we brought in. I think that's really has really built on what we've been looking to do here in the receiver room, with Malachi being a bigger, smoother guy. Jet Thompson is literally, he follows his name. He's a missile. He can really flat out fly. And then you got Devin Williams, who's a Houston transfer, who Devin was really an all-conference player at Tulsa, and then got banged up at Houston. But man, he's got that level of play in him. So we took a little bit of a gamble on that with the injury, but man, he's looked really good here in the last couple of weeks. So been impressed with that group of guys. And then we got 2 running backs that I think are going to help us right away. JoJo Uga from Albany, and Parker Jenkins. He was from East Carolina, but played at Houston as well. So local guy, bringing him home. I think those guys are finishers. They're guys that when they get to the second and third level, they're going to put that ball in the end zone, and that's what we were missing. I think, obviously we had LaDamian McDowell, but other than that, we didn't have really guys that could finish once they got to the third level, and these guys can do that, and I've been really impressed with the type of humans they are too. So
Kids out of the transfer portal on campus, they're ready to go on campus.
oh yeah, they're all here,
They're all here
enrolled
already.
in classes and training with our guys, and we'll start meeting with them this week. So I think it's it's been great having them here. And again, we got some freshmen that are here already, so I think those guys are they're going to benefit from being here and being in spring practice and getting a chance to be around coaches.
Local kid out of Westbrook, Braven, just talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, we were really intrigued by him, watching him. I went to the Jasper game, saw him, up close and live. That was our bye week, and obviously we had him in camp. He's grown 2 inches since we saw him. I think that was the most impressive part. Measured in at almost 6'1" and 175 pounds. So he's going to be a long, athletic corner that plays with an edge, and obviously being a local guy, really important for us to continue on that trend. We lose our Westbrook guy, so actually we have Chuck's son on the team, but we needed a guy in the secondary from Westbrook because we lose the All-American, so hopefully he can live up to that standard. That'd be awesome.
And do any of the high school guys stand out to you as someone who could contribute sooner rather than later?
I think all of them can, to be honest with you. I think, John Abrama's a kid from Royce City who played safety, played corner. He's really a guy that I think can help us right away. Lovey Berry's a 6-foot corner from Lancaster. He played at Richardson High as a junior, so he's played at a real high level. I think he's a guy that can come in and help us right away. And then, when you look down at the guys we signed early, Dapo Adesoye from Katy is I'm talking about a guy that really looks the part. Like when you walk in our weight room now, he looks no different than guys that have been here and been playing in real college football games. So I think he's going to be a guy that helps us. Cam Hall from Alito, elite football program. He's got elite work habits. I think he's going to be a guy that could probably help us at the outside linebacker position, at minimum on special teams. I mean, he's 6'1", he's 215 pounds. He's a guy that can really help us a lot. Torrey Paul from Klein is he missed a lot from last year because he broke his collarbone in game 4, but man, he's a guy that can run 23 miles an hour. He's fast. He's really fast. So, I don't know. It's just a matter of whether he could pick it up. But I think there's a lot of guys that, Malcolm Graham from Travis, he's going to look the part. He'll walk in at 6'3" and 225 outside linebacker. So I think a lot of these guys will be able to, I still say Mason Manning is the best athlete that we've recruited since I've been here. The guy plays everything he plays receiver, plays running back, plays, he's going to be around campus for spring ball just because he's local. So, I think he's the kind of guy that can show up and play right away, So those are the guys we're really, really excited about. And, the days of redshirting might be over. Who knows, we'll see how that goes.
Coming off a marquee year, maybe the FCS playoffs. We're here, of course, talking about the new guys. But talk about some of the returners and the impact they're going to have mixing in with the new guys.
Well, obviously Blake Thomas, receiver, number one. That's a guy that is going to be obviously a difference maker for us. He's fast. He's really natural at the position. He missed 7 games last year with an injury, but came back in the playoff game. Looks explosive. He looks great right now. I think that Morgan Sampson, tight end. I think John Hester, O-line. I think when you go on the defensive side of the ball, C.J. Miller's a difference maker at linebacker. I think we got some guys like DeKelvion Beeman who played a lot last year, but was ready to step into a starting role. And there's going to be a lot of new faces, but Andrew Huff should have been an all-conference player at rush end. I don't know what happened there, but he's going to be a stud. I think you got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football for us that are coming back, and the idea is to get those guys mixed in with some of these new guys, and hopefully they can take us to a new level. We say level up, we got to level up. We went to the playoffs, great. That's last year. This year we got to, we want to win a conference championship. That's got to be the goal, and it starts with the way we approach every day. And again, we're gonna take it one day at a time. But I think as far as talent on the roster, this is the most talented roster that we've had. Now they got to see if they can put it all together, and because talent doesn't win games. Good football teams win games, and I think that's where we got to be. And we got to get better play from the quarterback position. Last year we were way too inconsistent from there. I think that's the reason why we sputtered at the end of the year with those guys being injured and banged up. And we got to do a better job of keeping that guy healthy, number one, but also making sure that we get better at that position. And I think you got 4 guys that are really competing for that job right now, with Aiden, obviously being the guy that has played the most snaps, and Evan, and Julian Salazar, and Lucas Powell. Those guys are all guys that have been in our system, and they got an opportunity to compete for it this spring. So having I think we got 17 offensive linemen in the spring. That's good, because we're going to need them, because we're going to have to get looks at those guys, the quarterbacks, and when you don't have enough old linemen, sometimes it's hard to get looks at whether your quarterbacks can play in the spring or not. So that's a really big bonus for us.
Heavy emphasis on the DBs, on the transfer portal. Why such a heavy emphasis on the secondary?
We lost a bunch. We lost Paul Modia and Nick Brown to the portal. Jaden Harding graduated. Christian Pugh graduated. So we lost a lot. Ed Guilds graduated. So we needed players, and Jabari Baker's a DB that we think could step in right away and help us. We think the same about LJ Kelly. He's a guy that it's been really impressive the last couple weeks that we've watched him. So we need guys that can step up and play and be ready to go. And yeah, we got Caleb Holmes and we got Zaylen Stoker. Those two guys have played for us. We got Kevin Thomas Jr. starter for us at safety, but you know, we need some guys that can really go out there and play and give us some depth. We lost a whole bunch of that in the transfer portal and through graduation. So, you know, you lose an All-American safety. He's not going to be a guy you replace very, very easily. Guy that's been a 4-year starter. You know, I think he's played somewhere around 1,600 snaps for us. Those are not going to be easy to replace. So, you do got Lamar Evans coming back, who's played a lot of football for us, but still is not Christian Pugh right now. Hopefully through the spring he will be, but right now we needed to get some guys in here that can play. We had when we looked down at the roster at the end of the transfer portal, we had two corners that could play in the spring, and that was Caleb Holmes and Zaylen Stoker. So we needed to bring in some guys that could play, and we needed to replace length with length, and that's why Brennan Bailey's on that list, and you know that's why you know, Ephraim is on the list. Those guys, they got to be able to go out and play, and you know, we needed some guys that can come in and step in. So that was a big emphasis for us.
When you were out on the recruiting trail this cycle, I guess, did you notice a change just in the attitude of the recruits around the Lamar program after a couple seasons that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, here's the one thing that to me has been complimentary. We are no one negative recruits against a team that stinks. So when I first got here, no one even talked about Lamar. Now every other team in our conference is negatively recruiting against us. They're talking, oh, you don't want to go to Beaumont. Beaumont's a rough place. Beaumont's this, Beaumont. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. They're talking about us, you know, and the reason is you're getting better, and they're intimidated by you. And, you know, teams in our league are talking bad about us, and that's okay. I love that. And also what I've noticed is when I first got here, we couldn't get one-year guys, you know, because they wouldn't take a chance at Lamar because they weren't any good. I'm not coming there to lose. Well, I got 1 year. You know, that was really that's what they would say to us. And now, you know, we had no problem taking those guys, and you know, those guys had no problem coming here. And you know, we got guys that are 3-star guys on here, 4-star guys coming out of high school that are picking Lamar because, number one, we got elite facilities for our level. There's nobody that has what we have, and when we finish our $2 million locker room, nobody's going to have what we have at this level, especially in our league. So I feel really good about that, and you know, I just feel like the high school coaches that we've been in this high school's recruiting know that we place a premium on high school kids. You know, I know we have, you know, got a lot of portal guys here, but we got a lot of high school guys too. You know, we signed a lot of high school players, and we're in local high schools, and we're in the state of Texas and Louisiana, and we're signing those guys, and they appreciate that. So when they have a guy that got dropped by North Texas or got dropped by Oklahoma State, they're calling us. You know, I mean, Lovey Berry was, you know, he had an Oklahoma State offer. He had a, you know, North Texas offer. He had a Arizona. He was committed to Arizona. I mean, those guys, they're coming to Lamar now. They weren't coming here before because there was nothing to come here for. Not only was it it was a graveyard for high school football players. They came here and they lost a lot of games. Now they know they can go to the playoffs. They can compete for conference championships. They can get an elite degree in engineering and business, and I think those guys, you know, they've really turned the corner, and I think that's where recruiting has changed for us, and you know, it helps to have coaches that have been here too. I mean, Wayne Cordova's been here, gosh, I think he's going on year 8, and I think you know, all the rest of the guys on the staff have been here since I've been here, so I think those guys are, you know, they see that there's some continuity, and guys aren't bolting out of here because it's a good place. We got a great president, got a great AD, got a great alumni base. Believe it or not, there's a lot of alums that are very wealthy that come from Lamar. You know, oil and gas industry, and guys that have really made a great name for themselves. So we appreciate all they've done for us, and that's the reason why we are where we are, is because of those people. So
you talked about Coach Cordova. Talk about the adjustments you made to your staff.
Yeah, I mean, we hired a new quarterbacks coach, an offensive recruiting coordinator, and Brent Keene. Brent came from, he was at Howard University, you know, historic HBCU. He was the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach there, and I had a relationship with him from when I was at Charlotte. But you know, just did an unbelievable job in the interview, and I think going to bring a lot to our offense. You know, we did elevate Andy Sperano from tight ends coach and run game coordinator to offensive coordinator. I called most of the season last year, but Andy called the last bunch of games, and you know, felt really good about doing that. And you know, Matt Canada, who's been with me, God, seems like forever now with Charlotte and here, but you know, he's the co-coordinator, and you know, he has a lot to do with obviously any success we've had recruiting wise is through him. And you know, defensively we're status quo so far. I mean, unless somebody leaves in the next couple of weeks, we're pretty much holding steady there. So, and we got to replace some graduate assistants and stuff, but that's already been done. So, but yeah, I love the staff, and our guys work really hard. They're really good together, and you know, I think they're really good teachers, and they put our guys in a good spot. And we've hired Mike Gardner to be our director of strength and conditioning as well. And, he came from across the border. He was here, then he left and came back. So we're glad to have him back. So he'll be on the right side of the battle of the border this year. So.
Red and white better than blue and gold?
He reached out to me when the job opened, so I know he wanted to be here. So.
Red and white.
Anything else?
Just real quick, talk about the offensive line, because in the last 2 years, if you go back to the last 2 years with the great classes, you brought in a healthy group of linemen, and probably if you look at the average heights and weights, I think this year's group, especially in this particular class right now, it's the biggest size in terms of height and weight that you brought in. Just talk about those linemen, because you're replacing an awful lot of guys.
Yeah, we lost four really big contributors along the offensive line. And I feel great about where we are from a young offensive line standpoint. We just thought we needed to bring in some older guys to bridge the gap to that group. But yeah, I mean, Anthony A.J. Crease, you know, he's the guy coming from Texas State, played at Kentucky, local kid. He's big. I think he's 6'5" and, you know, 320 pounds. And same with Traden Henry, you know, came from Concord, 6'7". Guy can move his feet, big, physical. And then we take Brandon Stuckey from Indianapolis, who's you know, played a lot of football at Division II level, and you know, we have to replace the center, and I think Stuckey's a guy that can come in and at least give us a guy that we feel pretty confident about, that's played in some college football games, that can help us bridge the gap to some of our really good younger guys. But you know, I do love our offensive line group. I think you're going to see way more guys playing this year. Last year, those 5 guys played every snap in every game, you know, and I think this year you'll see probably 8 or 9 guys playing in games, just because I think we have the depth and we have the talent to do that. You know, I'm an O-line guy, and I wouldn't put guys out there that aren't going to help us, and these guys are going to be able to. The guys we got coming back are Zach Curtis, you know, John Hester. Those guys played in a lot of games. You know, Alex Harrelson. Those guys played in a lot of games, so you got 3 guys coming back with some game experience, and you know, you got some really good young guys like Andre Sauls and Nick Chenevert, who's, you know, redshirt freshman coming up. So I'm excited about this portal group, but I'm also excited about the guys we already have here that I think are really close to being special. They just haven't played enough football yet, so they're going to get a lot of reps this spring. I know that. I don't think we're going to do a spring game this year, so probably going to do more like a last scrimmage. I don't think we're going to buy into that. I don't know. We're going to decide, but the 18th of April would probably be the day that we would do that last scrimmage, which is a Saturday. We'll do that probably early afternoon.
Is that going to be something that's going to be open to campus?
Oh yeah, come on out. I don't care.
When do you?
You know me. I don't have any secrets.
When do you start practice? When does all that start?
We start, I believe, the 17th of March is the first spring practice. So we have spring break, and then come back that Tuesday to start our first. You coming out?
Absolutely.
All right. So hopefully you won't be taking your. It's in the afternoon, so hopefully you won't be taking a noontime nap. I know.
It's a totally different day.
I got to whip a power nap because I hear there's something going on at 6 o'clock tonight. So I mean, yeah.
Are you coming?
Absolutely.
All right. Good.